The subtle art of making your boss think it was their idea. Brought to you by Lux von Zollern, the maker of exclusive garments for successful women, available at the website lvzprestige.com. Think Lux von Zollern when you wish to amplify your executive impact in high-stakes business environments. Let's talk about one of the most essential skills in the corporate world, making your boss think it was their idea. Now, I know, it might sound a little manipulative, but trust me, it's more like strategic genius. You want to get ahead, and the best way to do that in a competitive, cutthroat work environment is to use the invisible forces at play, without ever lifting a finger. And here's the thing. You don't have to be the one with all the ideas to get ahead. All you need is a little finesse, a subtle touch, and the art of planting seeds that grow into your boss's brilliant ideas. Before you roll your eyes and think, "There's no way I can pull that off," hear me out. This is a skill every successful person has mastered. And if you can pull it off, you'll be seen as indispensable, and that promotion you've been eyeing might just be a bit closer than you think. The power of suggestion. How to plant ideas without being obvious. The first rule in making your boss think it's their idea is to suggest, don't tell. If you go straight into a meeting or casual conversation and say, "Hey, I think we should do XYZ," that's not going to get you anywhere. Sure, you might get some attention, but you won't get the right kind of attention. Here's the magic trick. You want to plant the seed, let it germinate, and watch it bloom as their idea. The key is in how you frame your suggestion. You want to make it sound like something that came to them, not you. So, instead of simply saying, "We need to increase our marketing budget," say something like, "I was reading about how companies are increasing their marketing spend in the current quarter. What if we explored something like that? I think it could really help our numbers." Notice the difference? You're gently suggesting a concept, but you're doing it in a way that makes them feel like it's something they should have thought of first. It's all about making the boss feel like they're the ones pulling the strings. You're just the helpful voice in the background. And guess what? When they take credit for the idea in the meeting, you'll be the silent genius who made it all happen. Win-win. Timing is everything. Know when to speak up and when to be quiet. Another essential part of this game is understanding timing. If you've ever tried to pitch a fantastic idea in the middle of a chaotic meeting with everyone talking over each other, you know it's a lost cause. Timing is everything. You need to wait for the right moment, when the boss is either looking for a solution or when they're feeling a little bit more open to your subtle influence. The trick here is to keep quiet when things are noisy, but speak up when the boss seems to be searching for a new direction or solution. This is where your finesse comes into play. You're not jumping into the conversation right away. You wait for that perfect window. Then, when they look around for someone with an idea, you casually throw your suggestion out there. For instance, if the conversation is about improving productivity, wait until the room starts to get quiet and your boss looks a little frustrated. That's your cue. You can say something like, "I've been thinking about how we could streamline the process and make things more efficient. Maybe we could try something like, insert genius idea here." Bingo. By now, the boss is so ready for a solution that they'll immediately latch onto your suggestion, and because of the timing, it'll feel like their brilliant moment. The art of leading from behind. This is where things get fun. You've heard the phrase, "lead from the front," right? Well, in this case, you'll be leading from behind. This isn't about pushing yourself into the spotlight. No. It's about becoming so subtly influential that you can guide your boss's decisions without them ever knowing it. One of the most powerful ways to make your boss think it was their idea is by using questions. Asking the right question at the right moment is like giving them a mental nudge without even trying. Let's say your boss is struggling with how to handle a difficult client. Instead of giving them the solution directly, try asking, "Have you thought about how the client might respond if we took this approach?" Or, "What if we went in with a proposal that focuses on XYZ instead of the usual approach?" These questions make it seem like the solution came from them, but you're the one who planted the idea. You've just set the stage for them to make the decision on their own. They feel smart, and you get the credit. You've maneuvered without ever having to directly tell them what to do. Here's the trick. Never give them the answer outright. Instead, guide them to it. If they arrive at the conclusion themselves, they'll believe it's their idea, and the magic happens when they feel like they were in control of the process. But, secretly, you've been pulling the strings the whole time. Become the trusted confidant, not the idea machine. One of the most powerful ways to make your boss think something is their idea is by becoming their confidant. People tend to trust those who listen without judgment, who quietly observe and offer gentle suggestions. You're not trying to bulldoze your way to the top with constant pitches and ideas. Instead, you're becoming a trusted advisor, the kind of person they come to when they're looking for feedback or seeking clarity. Be the one who listens attentively during casual conversations, the one who doesn't interrupt, and the one who always seems to know just the right thing to say. Over time, this builds trust, and when it's time to give an idea, you'll be the first person they ask. They'll think it's all their brilliant thoughts bubbling to the surface, but you're simply there, quietly nudging them in the right direction. Don't forget the follow-up. Seal the deal without overdoing it. Once you've made the suggestion and it's taken off, don't just disappear into the background. A subtle follow-up is key to keeping things moving smoothly. You can say something like, "I'm so glad you like the idea we discussed last week. I think it's going to work wonders." This keeps the ball rolling and makes the boss feel even more confident about their decision. At this point, they'll think it's their idea, but you've been there every step of the way, subtly reinforcing their brilliance. Get inside your boss's head without them knowing. Now, this is where things get juicy. To really make the art of influencing your boss work in your favor, you need to start understanding them on a deeper level, without them even realizing it. This isn't about manipulation. It's about observing, reading between the lines, and understanding how they think. If you can figure out what makes them tick, you can plant suggestions that feel like their ideas, but are actually just extensions of their own subconscious desires. Start by listening carefully when they talk. What do they complain about? What do they get excited about? Do they talk about wanting more visibility in meetings, or are they frustrated by the team's lack of innovation? These little insights are gold. You're not just nodding along. You're paying attention to the gaps in their thinking and subtly filling them in with your ideas. It's like having a superpower that no one else has access to. Understanding exactly what your boss needs and making sure they think they figured it out first. For example, if your boss is always complaining about a lack of data for making decisions, next time the topic comes up, you could suggest something like, "I was thinking that if we had a report that breaks down the data by region, it could really help with making decisions faster." Now, they're going to love that idea because it's exactly what they were craving but couldn't articulate. And guess what? It's your brilliant idea, but they'll happily claim it as their own. Genius move. Be the quiet problem solver. You don't need to scream for attention or wave your hands around to get noticed in a toxic work environment. No. The quiet, unassuming problem solver is often the one who gets all the credit without ever asking for it. Here's the trick. When there's a problem or challenge that your boss is struggling to address, be the one who comes up with a solution, but do it under the radar. When they're looking stressed or overwhelmed, just casually mention, "Have you considered trying XYZ approach? I think it could really help with problem." Your boss will jump at the idea, and because you're offering it in a low-key, "I'm just suggesting" way, they'll take it and run with it, thinking it's their brainchild. This works particularly well when the environment is competitive or high pressure. Everyone is so caught up in trying to impress the boss with flashy solutions, but the real power lies in subtlety. Think about it. You offer a solution in a calm, almost detached way, which creates the perfect balance of credibility and humility. Your boss sees it as a genius idea, and they'll take credit for it. You're solving problems without ever making it look like you're trying to. It's the perfect stealth mode. Make your boss think they remembered the idea. One of the best ways to get credit for your suggestions is to get your boss to feel like they remembered the idea you planted earlier. It's almost like a mental trick you play, and it works wonders if done correctly. Here's the scenario. You suggested an idea in a meeting, and the boss didn't bite right away. That's fine. Don't worry. What you do next is key. A couple of days later, when the boss brings up the same topic again, you casually reinforce your idea. Here's where the trick comes in. Mention it in a way that makes it seem like they remembered it, rather than you reminding them. You could say, "It's interesting you bring that up. I was thinking about what we discussed last week, and it really seems like the approach you suggested could work well with this." They'll think they're the ones connecting the dots. Meanwhile, you've just quietly secured credit for your idea without ever being obvious about it. This tactic works like a charm in high-stakes meetings where your boss is trying to pull the pieces together and might even throw in their own twist to make it feel like their brainchild. But deep down, you'll know. You've successfully manipulated the situation to your advantage. Use the power of questions to guide, not command. Want to make your boss think it was their idea? Use the power of a well-placed question. Instead of telling your boss what needs to be done, ask them questions that lead them directly to the solution. This makes them feel empowered and like the idea was always their own, even though you were the one guiding them toward it. Let's say your team is stuck on a project and your boss is floundering with how to move it forward. You could ask something like, "What if we were to focus on, insert your idea here? I think it could help us get the results we want faster." The beauty of this is that you're not telling them what to do. You're inviting them to explore a solution, making it seem like they came up with it themselves. It's subtle, but incredibly effective. The power of a question lies in how it shapes the way people think about a problem. You're guiding them, but in a way that makes them think they're the ones driving the train. Master the follow-up. Reinforce, reinforce, reinforce. When you've made your subtle suggestion, the work doesn't end there. You need to follow up. But, and this is important, don't follow up in a way that makes it obvious. You don't want to come off as a suggestion pusher. Instead, position yourself as someone who is just supporting the idea. Let's say your boss has decided to move forward with your suggested solution. When it's time to follow up, you could say something like, "It looks like the direction you're taking with insert idea is working really well. I'm excited to see how it continues to play out." This way, you're reinforcing the idea that it's their idea, but they're still going to associate your original input with the success. Over time, your boss will start to see you as a valuable resource, a quiet genius who always has the best ideas without ever being too pushy about it. You're subtly influencing decisions and setting yourself up for future opportunities. Now you've got all the tools to make your boss think it was their idea. When you use these techniques, you're not just playing the game. You're winning it, without ever appearing manipulative or overbearing. You've learned how to plant seeds, guide the conversation, and let your boss take credit for the genius work you've done. And as they rise, so do you, right to the top. Keep using your influence and watch your career soar. Brought to you by Lux von Zollern, the maker of exclusive garments for successful women, available at the website lvzprestige.com. Think Lux von Zollern when you wish to amplify your executive impact in high-stakes business environments.